and we took a cooler and lunch. Came up, the office called, gave me a prescription, I brought it back and twice. Milton, PA, it's about 5 hours. It's up I-80. But, hey, they were willing to do what they... And towards the end, because towards the end, we all know the more you get, the less you're shortening your lifespan.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for braving the colder temperatures and the fog on the water and everything to come out and join us this morning. I think fall is truly approaching, and quite frankly, I'm tickled pink. I love the seasons, and this is a beautiful place to come spend Saturday morning. They're saying that we're supposed to have one of the most spectacular fall foliages that we've seen in a long time. So make sure that you enjoy this fall. It's going to be fantastic. Before we begin the ceremony, though, I'd like to mention that the Laurel Highlands Historical Village, along with B&L Winery, are sponsoring a wine fest next month. On Sunday, October 21st, we're having a fall wine fest at Anthony's Restaurant on Skelp Avenue, Richland. This will be a wonderful time with a buffet-style meal and wine matching recommendations for appetizers, the meal, and desserts. Furthermore, there will be a historical preservation event package that goes along with this, and wine glass painting, with the proceeds to be donated to our veterans. Please talk to Patty. Patty, where's Patty? Raise your hand. There you go. Please talk to Patty today if you are interested in this great event. And there's flyers up here that you can grab after the ceremony. So, now for the main event. It's my honor to introduce the president of Laurel Highlands Historical Village, Mr. Douglas Yonker. Doug was just recognized by Lift Johnstown with the 16th Volunteer Spotlight Award, an award presented for community involvement that impacts those around us. He's a veteran who received 2 Purple Hearts during the Global War on Terror, and although our youth already do not remember Desert Storm, Doug was there. Doug currently works for AmGuard as a security guard. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Young.
Thank you, Doug. Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Good.
All right. Okay. Thank you for being here today, and I want to quickly thank the following people who made this monument a reality. Without their invaluable assistance, this monument would never meet. Mr. Ron Shali here. He first conceived of the idea for this monument. This was his dream. And after months of willing and dealing with local and county officials, numerous phone calls and emails, this dream has come to fruition. I'd like to thank the CSA for giving us permission to erect this monument on their property. Peter Lucas at Images Incorporated for his work in completion of the sign. Missy Hovaugh for her artistic talents in design of some of these tags and labels you see. Cambria County for letting us have the use of their work labor crew and the crew itself and their supervisors, Ron Koval and Hal. We got our labor crew, Steve Faber, Bob Gutsky, and his brother, and Luke Gutsky. I heard this was really son of a gun to dig these holes, really. It was a major project. I thank Lowe's for donating the posts, Pristos for donating a lawnmower, the anonymous couple who donated the lights, Summit Bank, Kelvin Overdorf at Quaker Sales, State Representatives Brian Barb and Frank Burns for the flagpoles, Josh Hauser at the Cambria County Department of Veterans Affairs, Lift Johnstown, Middle Taylor and East Taylor, WJC, WTAJ, Tribune Democrat, Our Town Newspaper, Rocky's Tavern, Walmart Johnstown, VFW Post 155, the American Legion, Cambria Glass and Installation, and several others. If I've forgotten anybody, I offer my most sincere apologies and my eternal gratitude. I've got a little thing written here, a little speech, nothing major, but about this monument. Okay, it's a pretty plain looking thing, isn't it? Some wooden posts, a couple of pictures, brass tags, just names etched on it. It's not some elaborate colossus with granite and marble posts. There's no names embossed in gold leaf, and we don't have interactive touchscreen presentation narrated by Morgan Freeman. We have a quite simple monument, but it's here. And it's not grandness that matters. It's not appearance that is important. What is important is what it symbolizes. Now, back when the Vietnam Memorial was being planned, there were people who were aghast at simplicity. A black wall covered in names, no flashing lights or statues of fighting men striking heroic poses. That's a wall of names. Now, some 30 years later, that wall has become a place for reflection, for remembering lost friends and loved ones, for soul searching and healing. And that's what this simple monument is for. A soldier doesn't ask for much. He does not expect much. He has very little amenities that those in the civilian world are accustomed to. Comfort is not in his or her vocabulary. He slugs through mud, snow, and sand. His feet are sore, his bones are weary, his muscles are aching. He's either freezing cold, wet, dirty, or drenched in sweat. His mouth is often dry, and he dreams of a meal that doesn't come in a can, as some of you may remember, or today's veterans come in a plastic bag. When he sleeps, the closest thing he has to a blanket is a poncho, and sometimes his pillow is his helmet. He expects nothing. There's only one little request. Remember what they have done. Remember what we have done. And that's what this monument is for. Remember what you have done, America's veterans. If anybody has a critique about the simplicity of this monument, I respond with a little bit of a snippet from what Teddy Roosevelt said to his address to the Sorbonne. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or the doer of deeds could have done better. A credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again. It's here. We have done it. Now, the service to this country from the residents in this area goes all the way back to the American Revolution. We've had the 1st Pennsylvania Rifle Regiment. We have had troops in the Mexican War, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, all the way up to the War on Terror. Lonely hilltops in Korea, rice paddies and riverways, jungles and isolated fire bases in Vietnam, deserts and city streets in Iraq and the mountains of Afghanistan, and wherever else we were called to serve, we did so with little complaint. No expectation of golden pillars and jeweled columns when we came home. We didn't even expect a thank you. No, just remember. Remember the sacrifices that were made in the name of freedom, for the dream of liberty. Not my sacrifice. Mine was very few. But the sacrifices of those who cannot be here, for they lay in some Flanders field. They lay in graveyards in France, Holland, or some Pacific atoll. They fell on snow-covered hilltops, sandy beaches, city streets, muddy river crossings. They met their fates in the heavens above and the bottom of the ocean. Theirs are the sacrifices that must be remembered, for they are the real heroes. We, the ones who come home, who try to piece together our lives, we become old men who sit and recount tales of our warrior youth. We owe it to them to keep their memories alive, to tell their stories so that they will not be forgotten. Those who are forever young in our memories, we hold them in our hearts and minds, and wish you would too. Though we are here, there's a part of us that is still over there with them, wherever over there may be. I can name many over there, from Saratoga to Helmand Province, but I don't have the time. So many places, some without names, just coordinates on a map. For those of you who are still over there, who still smell the bite of cordite, who still feel the rifle in your hands, who still hear the thunder, this monument is for you as well. May it offer you an emotional safe haven and a bit of peace. Thank you very much.
Our second welcome will now be offered by Ron Shali. He's the Executive Director of Laurel Highlands Historical Village. He's been extremely creative in making good things happen for veterans. A veteran himself with the Navy Reserves and National Guard, Ron has 28 years of service in the field of communications and broadcasting. Ron?
Real quick, so we can move along. I want to say thank you all for being here. Thank you to the Marines for showing up. Guys, we love you, and we really appreciate what you do day in and day out. A little about most of you know LHHV, Laurel Highlands Historical Village. We're all about preservation. The military, by far, is historic in nature. I was talking to Doug, and I researched this, but there has not been one year in American history where the military has not been involved in some form of war or political engagement, okay? That's kind of amazing. So where would America be without the military? So we want to preserve that heritage that the military presents to to America. I also want to say thank you to the National Guard. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but the National Guard, they're being deployed overseas. And now with the hurricanes, you know, the National Guard is being called upon again to basically go in and support, you know, Texas, Louisiana, and now Florida. All right, it's kind of like, it's just an ongoing job that we do. We had a special guest, he's not here yet. Okay, why did we build the memorial? Well, for two reasons, okay. One, we built the memorial for the veterans, is a memorial to them, okay, but to show that the general public, hey look, these guys have sacrificed their time, all right. We also built this for a lot of veterans who have come back from the war with PTSD. Already the other day I had two veterans up here, and they were bawling and crying, just back from Afghanistan, and they said they love it because of the solitude, okay. To let you all know, the VA hospital in Altoona, they're going to be utilizing this facility for their patients as well, to bring them up here. And most of the veterans know why the guys want the solitude, okay? Ongoing funding for the memorial. This is just a start. Please put the word out that we are looking for donations. We want to get solar lighting. We're going to get more posts put up. If any veteran wants their name on a tag, Patty has the forms over here. You can take and give them to your friends who are veterans, okay? The lattice work we have over here, again, like 9/11, if anybody has any memorials, you know, war, they want to hang them up, tell your friends, they can come up for hanging up on the lattice as a reminder, you know, for their loved ones. We are doing our food drive for the veterans. If anybody knows of any veteran who is shut in, they need the help, please call me so we can get them the food they need, okay? Or other help they may need. We've identified this problem through the commissioners that, you know, a lot of times, you know, they'll say, well, the veteran can go to the food bank. How can they get there? Because the food bank said, we're not going to give them food unless they come in. Well, they can't get there because they're shut in. All right, so we help them out. I've also got a couple of veterans who are living up on a mountain up here. We take a bag of food up to them, hang it in a tree, they come out of the woods, get their food. We're taking care of them as well, okay? Yes, it does happen. There are veterans coming back who absolutely cannot confront society. And I would only pray to God above that the vandalism doesn't occur here. If they do, I'm going to call the Marines, okay, guys? You guys won't mind helping out, right? With the vandalism? Thank you, guys. Again, that's pretty much what I have to. I just want to thank everybody for being here, and we'll move on.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
It's now my pleasure to call on the Conemaugh Valley Detachment 287 Marine Corps League to present the colors for our national anthem. Ron, detail. Present the colors.
Left. Color guard, halt. Right, face. Color guard, present, arm.
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Detailed. Dismissed.
Color guard, retrieve colors. Right, face. Forward, march. Left, right, left. Left, right, left. Left, right, left.
You may be seated. The invocation will be by Father Orvetz of the Byzantine Catholic Church. He will follow the invocation with a blessing on this memorial. Thank you.
Let us pray. Gratitude is a very special gift. And today we pause filled with a special gift of gratitude to dedicate a monument to the most generous men and women of our great nation, the veterans, the brave, dedicated men and women who have served our country from the days of the Revolutionary War to the present moments when they may be assigned domestically and in lands throughout the world. We know that no monument in itself can completely express our thanks, our appreciation, our gratitude. However, this monument and its presence will serve as an awesome reminder, not only in Cambria County, but throughout Pennsylvania, of our nation that has been made great because of our trust in God. Our currency and our coins remind us daily that we trust in God. And our pledge of allegiance that we just made to the flag, we state that we are one nation under God. And this morning, we ask our God, the Creator of all good things, to hear our prayers and to be able to hear the prayers of all veterans, that peace may prevail throughout the earth, that the precepts of kindness and mercy become the daily practices in our lives, and that we continue to be filled with gratitude, beginning with the gift of our own lives and continuing with the endless blessings that are ahead of us. We particularly ask God this morning to be able to assist our fellow Americans affected by the hurricanes in Texas and in Florida, to be able to minimize the pain, to be able to grant help as it's needed, and to be able to provide solace to our fellow citizens and Americans who are affected by the storm. Most importantly this morning, we ask God to bless our veterans, past, present, and future. Amen.
Amen.
You know, the concept of water is very much associated with just about every particular religious faith. For Christians, the initiation into a Christian church is through baptism with water. If you look directly in front of you, the water is very beautiful. Water can be very peaceful. Water can be very tranquil. And throughout history, water has been used to be able to bless so many things, from our lives to the food to monuments as great as these. And so I have the sprinkler filled with holy water, and I'm going to start the left end and work my way up and sprinkle each of the posts with holy water, and this will be the formal dedication of this beautiful park. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of World War I. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of World War II. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of the Korean War. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of the Vietnam War. This pole is dedicated to the veterans who served our country in peacetime during the Cold War. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of the Gulf War. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of the Iraq War. This pole is dedicated to the veterans of the Afghanistan War. This pole is dedicated to those who are still fighting the war on ISIS. We ask our God to be able to accept our thanks as we dedicate the Laurel Highlands Veterans Memorial Park. We give thanks to the sponsors, we give thanks to the hard workers who made this tremendous monument possible. And again, we show our dedication to the sprinkling of holy water in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Senator Langerholtz, Representative Barban, and Representative Burns all wanted to be here this morning, but were unable to make it. Luckily, we have Paulette Baker to speak for Representative Barban.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Representative Barban has a special place in his heart for veterans and supporting their needs. He has been assigned to a number of veterans legislation boards over the years, ensuring that veterans come first. Barban has also supported us, the Laurel Highlands Historical Village, in their efforts to build a one-of-a-kind hiking and biking trail on Honan Avenue, a 3.5-mile-long trail that highlights Johnstown's history. In early 2017, our board asked Representative Barban for his support in a proposed Veterans Memorial to be located at the end of the hiking trail. His response was overwhelming, as he indicated the need for such a memorial on this location today. He feels this memorial is for all veterans, past, present, and future, for the entire region, concluding that this memorial will help to comfort veterans returning from war. And his legislative priorities include providing incentives to ensure the success of Pennsylvania volunteer firefighters, senior citizen veterans, and making college education more affordable for those families. And we really want to thank Representative Barban. As we said, his response was overwhelming. And for me personally, there's another person I'd like to thank. And that was my dad, Alex Ballard, a World War II veteran. And just a real quick story. You know, this is so beautiful because we grew up on a farm just in back of those trees there. I can't tell you how many times my dad hauled cattle over that bridge to our farm. And I feel like he's here with us today. And I'd just like to tell a quick story that my dad once told around the campfire when he had a beer in him. I don't think he would have told the story without that, but this is close to my heart. He lied about his age to get into the war back in World War II, to enlist in the Army. He was just a kid when he jumped with the parachute into the Blitzkrieg in the middle of London when Hitler was bombed. And he found himself, when he got down to the ground, you know, he says, I can't even tell you what happened in that parachute on the way down to the ground. He was so scared. But when he got there, he found himself with a bunch of other GIs hunkered down in a basement. And while he was in his basement in London with the bombs going all around, Hitler's voice came over the loudspeaker. Yankees, go home. You got no hope here. You got no hope here. We just went through Europe. We just nailed France. And now we're destroying England. Go home while you can, Yankees. And my dad said that all the other GIs and himself just got lower and lower and lower as that strong voice came over that loudspeaker. And there was a chaplain in there with him. And he was a very godly man. Never swore, never, you know the type. Just a very, very beautiful, godly man. And he was trying to encourage them, and it was just tough because Hitler kept it up. Go home, Yankee, go home. You have no chance here. Then over the loudspeaker, Hitler said, we hit France so hard, you're next. Even God can't stop me now. And that's when the chaplain stood up and he says, you know, boys, I always thought he was full of, I'll use the word baloney. Now I know it. Get out there and beat him. And my dad says when he said that, every one of those men and himself went out there and they did their job. And they beat him. And they came back to that basement alive at the end of that day. So Dad, this memorial is for you and all those other men that were in that basement that day. Thanks.
Many of you may not know this, but this property that we're standing on is property of the Cambria Somerset Authority. Mr. Patrick Mulcahy Jr. from the Cambria Somerset Authority will need to speak. Mr. Mulcahy has been a great help and a super supporter of the Laurel Highlands Veterans Memorial. We are in great debt to this organization for allowing this memorial to be placed here. Ladies and gentlemen, okay? Cool.
Thanks, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. Obviously, the Cambria Somerset Authority is honored and happy to donate this property, for this beautiful memorial. This memorial is obviously for the veterans, past, present, and obviously future. God bless all the men and women that are currently serving our country and protecting us right now. And thank you very much for everybody that came out today. I'm going to keep my comments short. We'll proceed with the ceremony today. But thank you very much for everybody that came out today. And everybody have a safe trip home. Thanks.
Nothing is wrong with this short speech. In fact, I was once told that there is no such thing as a bad short speech. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked to briefly speak about the significance of memorials and what this memorial will mean to our troops and others from all walks of life. I'd like to begin by commending Doug Yonker's vision and Ron Shali's execution to fill a need within the veteran community by providing a place we can visit and quietly acclimate into the community we swore to defend with our lives. Have you ever wondered why a veteran is so hesitant to ask for help? Well, I'm going to tell you. All of his or her career, a veteran has been told, shut up and make it happen. Veterans are proud of making it happen, even when all else is failing around them. But this very attitude can create conflict in today's world, especially a world of political correctness. Furthermore, social media's ill-informed, quick judgment of others and situations truly exacerbates the situation that we're in today. It's evident to the veteran that most of these Monday morning quarterbacks have never walked in the veteran's shoes, nor will ever understand what is asked of today's veterans. So don't be surprised when a veteran becomes frustrated. I want to share a simple but poignant story about my return from combat. After being in the jungles of the Philippines for approximately 6 months, I was finally told that I was going to be able to come home. Now, understand, this was after I was told I'm going to be home for Christmas. And I wasn't. I was told I'm going to be home right after Christmas. And I wasn't. I'm going to be home by Valentine's Day. And I wasn't. I'm going to be home by St. Patrick's Day. And I wasn't. For those of you in the military, you get it. You understand. It is what it is. Well, the big day finally came. As I got off the airplane and I was walking down the corridor, I couldn't wait to see my family, my wife and children. And who do I see? My boss. Okay, that's okay. General Trebone came up to me and he goes, great job, thanks. And you know what? I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to see my family. And so it's like, yeah, thanks, boss. And I'm sort of scooting around him, and he's sort of standing there. And I see Terry and kids, right? And as I'm walking up to Terry, she steps back a little and she goes, I don't know you. I changed. I didn't think I changed. But combat changes a person. Man, woman, doesn't matter. It changes a person. Right then and there, I realized, this isn't going to be as simple, or as quick, or as easy, or as nice, or as pretty as I thought it was going to be. And I was only gone 6 months. There's so many more folks that are gone so much longer. So how can a memorial help this situation? First, let's look at the concept of what a memorial is. Why, all of a sudden, do hundreds of people want to tear down memorials? If a memorial reminds us of good in our world, don't we want to celebrate that? And if a memorial reminds us of the bad in the world, don't we want to remember that so it doesn't happen again? Let's be honest with ourselves. The Allies did not force the Nazis to build memorials around their death camps because people wanted to celebrate this concept. The Allies wanted to make sure that we never forgot. So I ask again, what is a memorial? The textbook answer is that memorials are something, especially a structure, established to remind people of a person or event. In other words, memorials are history. But the bottom line is that memorials mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. In this case, we have before us a memorial that brings forth two emotions. It's sad because it recognizes the hardships our veterans have endured and often continue to endure. At the same time, this memorial is a reason to rejoice because it offers solace, peace, and reflection to help our veterans better come to an understanding of what it is to transition from the military to the civilian lifestyle. For some, this transition will be easy. For others, it's going to be a struggle. We will never be able to count the number of veterans and others who will come to terms with themselves because of this setting. Thank God for men and women like Doug Yonker, Ron Shali, Patty DeFaba, and thank God for organizations like the Cambria Somerset Authority who are willing to help provide this space, this setting for our veterans. Yes, this is a working memorial. It will silently and consistently be here for veterans, their families, and others to contemplate and enjoy being back together. We hope they will build strong family ties and lifetime relationships. Most importantly, I hope that this beautiful landscape will put our veterans at peace with their society, their family, and most importantly, themselves. Thank you again for showing your support for our veterans by coming out today. May God bless you, our veterans, and of course first responders. Life is tough, but this memorial will provide a place to relax and think and maybe make that life a little easier. May God bless America. Our next speaker is Mr. Tom Caulfield, the founder and president director of Veterans Community Initiatives. Veterans Community Initiatives enhances the lives and well-being of community residents, focusing on veterans and veterans' families. VCI emphasizes assisting with social and economic needs of those who are disabled, disadvantaged, physically and mentally challenged, unemployed, underemployed, substance abusers, and current and previously incarcerated. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Caulfield.
Thank you, Doug. And I certainly want to thank Ron and Doug for all they've done and everyone else that has been involved in it. They've done a tremendous job. Absolutely beautiful. And I think it's going to be well visited as we get the word out. Good morning. I'm most honored to speak here, privileged today to say a few words at this wonderfully dedicated memorial that recognizes all who have served and sacrificed since the beginning of our nation. With all the hullabaloo about memorials, and Doug talked a little bit briefly about it, it is most important to understand our past in order to learn and benefit from it into the future. No tradition of American society is more precious to or characteristic of our culture than that of our historic veterans voluntarily reaching out to neighbors in need. This is especially a good point in talking as we've seen what has happened with Houston and Florida with the hurricane and also the recent earthquake. Such selfless service of all selfless service is part of both our civic and our religious heritage, as the brother had mentioned. The Chapel of Four Chaplains is one of those stories we must learn from, what has been documented and often memorialized. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Four Chaplains story. It's most interesting because I spoke at a nursing home on Memorial Day, and there were 35 veterans in there. Most of them World War II, Korean veterans, and a few Vietnam veterans. and I asked each one of them whether they had ever heard of the 4 chaplain stories that took place in World War II. And only 2 of the 35 had heard about this historic and wonderful story. Okay. So I asked Ron if he thought it might be appropriate to bring this out, because this is the bottom lines, the stories of the memorial. So the chaplain of Chapel of 4 Chaplain stories is that of one of 4 Army chaplains who, after giving their life jackets to soldiers with the USAT Dorchester after it was torpedoed on February 3, 1943. Okay. Now visualize, you can close your eyes and just visualize it. This historic event began at Torpedo Junction, the U-boat-infested icy water of the North Atlantic during World War II. On January 23, 1943, the USAT Dorchester, an old coastal steamer, was quickly pressed into military service and left New York Harbor bound for Greenland. The Dorchester was escorted by 3 Coast Guard cutters. 2 patrolled the flank. The 3rd, the Tampa, was 3,000 yards out front. Most of the men were seasick and green with nausea. The weather was bitterly cold with gale-force winds. Ice began building up on the deck, slowing the Dorchester to 10 knots. Moving among them were 4 Army chaplains: George L. Fox, Alexander D. Good, Clark B. Poling, and John P. Washington. The chaplains talked with and listened to the men, soothing apprehensions, often offering encouragement and sharing jokes. By their concern and their camaraderie with the men and one another, they brought solace. On February 2, 1943, the Tampa sonar detected the presence of a submarine. She dropped back and swept the periphery of the convoy, but failed to find the submarine's position. That evening, the Tampa returned to the patrol area up front, and the other ships followed. The captain ordered the men to sleep in their clothing, with life jackets close at hand. They were only 150 miles from Greenland. With daylight, there would be air cover from the American base. It was just about midnight on February 4, 1943. An enemy submarine fired a torpedo toward the Dorchester's flank. The missile exploded in the boiler room, destroying the electric supply and releasing suffocating clouds of steam and ammonia gas. Many on board died instantly. Some were trapped below deck. Others jolted from their bunks, groped and stumbled their way to the decks of the stricken vessel. Taking on water rapidly, the ship began to starboard. Overcrowded lifeboats capsized. Rafts drifted away before anyone could reach them. Men clung to the rails, frozen with fear, unable to let go and plunge into the dark, churning waters far below. The testimony of survivors tells us that the sole order and the only fragment of hope in this chaos came from the 4 chaplains, who calmly guided men to their boat stations. They opened a storage locker and distributed life jackets. Then they coaxed men, frozen with fear, over the side. Soon the supply of life jackets was exhausted. Several survivors reported watching in awe as the 4 chaplains either gave away or forced upon other young men their own life jackets. These 4 men of God had given away their only means of saving themselves in order to save others. The chaplains gathered together, and led the men around them in a prayer and a hymn. They linked arms together as the slant of the deck became severe. And just that way, with their arms linked in brotherhood and their heads bowed in prayer, they sank beneath the waves. It was a heroic act. It was not the only heroic act aboard the Dorchester, but it was especially significant because of the identity of the four young men, two Protestants, a Catholic, and a Jew. Today, as it has these many years, the Chapel of Four Chaplains serves the memory of these brave men and carries their message of interfaith cooperation and selfless service to every part of our country. Although most of us will never face a situation like the four chaplains did, all of us have occasions where we can and must reach out to our neighbors, our friends, relatives, and colleagues in need. How we respond can and does make a difference. Remember, it's not what we have, but what we give. May God bless, congratulations, and happy Laurel Highlands Veterans Memorial Day. Thank you.
Before we have the benediction, I'd like to mention that up here, if you have a veteran, a loved one, that you would like to see their name up on these posts, you can go ahead and fill out the forms up here. And at this time, I would ask Father Orvetz to please return for the benediction.
Let us bow our heads. This morning in Thanksgiving, we tell God that we are grateful for this beautiful day, this beautiful park, for the memories that have made this park possible, and for the many memories that we hope this park will bring in the future to the citizens who will enjoy not only its beauty, but its purpose. We ask our God particularly to bless each of the veterans who have gone to their eternal reward. Particularly, we pray that their memory will be eternal. Likewise, we ask our dear God to be able to bless each of the veterans who are with us, especially the Marine Corps detachment this morning, all of the veterans, past, present, and future, who are serving the United States of America. And may our Lord God grant to them and to each of you present good health, happiness, peace, and many more years. God bless you.
Thank you, Father. And now, if I can ask you to please rise, I'm going to call on the Conemaugh Valley Detachment 287 Marine Corps to honor fallen with a 21-gun salute and the sounding of taps.
Detail! Push! Please! Back left! Please! Prepare for revolt! Ready! Aim! Back! Aim! Back! Aim! Back! Back right! Please! First that! Please! Tito! Order! Please!
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. Thank you all for coming out today. May God bless America and help those in Texas and Florida. Thank you again.
Gives me chills. I always get chills when I hear that.
Huh?
Hey, how's it going? Good. Good to see you again. Yeah. Just gonna come with me. Nice place.
Yeah. It was a pain to put those posters in.
You did it? Yeah. Dig your hole? Did you dig it by hand?
No, we actually had to get a jacking with.
Is it cement on it or just rock?
It's all rock. It's all packed. There was no way to do it by hand.
I bet.
Lucky, is there concrete in those? Hi, Eric.
Hey, good to see you again.
How are you going, buddy?
Great, how are you?
After we put the posters in, we cement them in.
Oh, good. Okay.
Hey, Ron. I introduced you. You weren't here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I took coming down Kingston. I yeah. I've been coming around the turn. And I ended up like, I don't know.
Here's the lady here. Mark, she can talk to you too. And then happy birthday.
Thanks. I like big bands.
21 years old today?
Watching another man and very upbeat, colorful send off.
I thought the TV guy was here. Oh, he's still here. Okay.
Oh, thanks for coming. Thanks. Take care.
Hi, John. Hey, this is yes.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Oh yeah. I think it that. I mean,
Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is really.
because I look at it kind of, you know, you're always having something.
Grew up across the river from here.
My turn. And I went, wait a minute. Every year after that. And some days that's all that matters. She's such a
One of the guys who checked around okay, that's enough. Everybody, okay, could you have any more of them on? Patty has some there. I just gave a bunch to
I love it. That's what Doug's doing. Just so, whatever.
I hope I might have given them all away here.
No, you have some, I think.
I don't have any left. Nope, I don't have none left. What are you looking for?
I do.
You know, whether
I do.
you know that form. There you go.
Here.
I believe I might have some.
Here, I have
There,
Yeah, so Ron
Okay, and I would get one for Andy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah,
I made you one, fella.
thank you. Hey, you guys,
I got one.
just one here. Let them know that they did a fantastic job. You know what, you're firing. Nice job. You guys were.
I know, it gives me the chills.
It was really well done. Please. No, I can take them. They're good.
It's a part of our campaign.
You guys do an awesome job. We appreciate it.
No, it's not for, I'm going to fill this out for Andy.
Oh, okay. Good to meet you.
Okay. Terry, how you doing?
Well, good to see you.
And so, Ron with the Laurel Highlands, or village, we got
You guys are going to get sentenced too. Is there something on there?
So,
Okay. Let me have another one. I'll give it to my buddy, and see, I guess you got the board that's in here. Let's see. Maybe postal buy one.
Oh, that would be.
Okay. All right.
You guys doing
Oh, well, thanks for having us. I appreciate it. I get tears in my eyes. If it's the necklace, do you ever get two jewels?
Oh, okay. So I'll have to look for one of these.
Yeah, it's hard to find two jewels that'll do it. If you ever hear, they call it necklace caps. Oh, that's good to see.
Oh, I think I have heard it.
Yeah, that's, you can really get emotional over that. Yeah, that's kind of awesome. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for helping, because I know you both helped.
All right.
And earlier this morning when we were unloading the stuff, I was sweating. And now it's
Be careful. You gotta watch this. How much?
But I can pack up the car and drive it. We did it. We did it. We can do it. Okay. You work tonight?
Do you know when the next service?
That works, but
lifetime you get more. I'll still hold it long later. Take me up on his way.
Okay, that's fine. Good to see you.
So probably not gonna write about you instead.